What is up, Scary Awesome people? This is Scary Awesome Stuff recap for week number deuce. We got through a bunch more films this week, and we will continue to pile through more films. We had a good mix. I wouldn't say the ratio was even, but we did do a few physical selections. That's where, as you saw in my last video, I draw a slip out of the box, and it tells me which row and which number of film to grab off my horror movie shelf. So we got through some of those this week, as well as more Plex selections. And we're going to do another scratch off like we did last week to see what we're going to watch next. All right. So without further ado, we had this week Don't Look Now, which I'll stop for a moment and reflect on because that was a new one for me. That was the scratch off selection for last week, 1976, I believe it was. And it was a Donald Sutherland film in one of his earlier pieces, kind of in the vein of, it was like definitely the Exorcist era of movies, where it was like the shock and awe of phenomenon that was not easily explained, demonic presence, maybe, don't know what it is. It was interesting. That's not my favorite era of movies, because it's just the slower pace that is I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, that's, everything comes back around. That pace has definitely been, if you've seen like the Mothers, the Hereditaries of today, that's really what's popular these days. And it's not my favorite. Like, they're pretty good. The stories are always really good, but just the pacing isn't awesome for me. But teach his own. But we got through a new film on that one. We'll see what's next. We'll see if it's another new one or if it's one we've seen before. But that was first up last time after I finished the first week recap. So we had Don't Look Now, Maniac Cop, which I think that was last week. Maybe I put it on the list again. But Maniac Cop's great. I'm reading the novelization right now. Late Night with the Devil, another great flick that's not super well known. I think if you haven't seen it, check it out. That's another demonic presence movie. All takes place on a talk show, but it was really good as well. The Fly, another classic. The Pope's Exorcist, another highly recommended film. I hope they make more of. The Boogeyman from 2005, which is pretty good. Babadook, another newer personal favorite. The first Resident Evil. From Dusk Till Dawn, one of my top 10. Y2K, another great 90s, well, it's not in the 90s, it was made a couple, like last year or the year before, but it's set in the 90s. That Y2K, What If the Machines Did Come to Life? It was a pretty, it's a pretty great, like teen slasher film. I really enjoyed it. The Original Scary Movie, amazing flick. Companion, another newer film, very good. The Thing, classic. Forever Purge, that was the newest one in the Purge series, and it was pretty good. Not my favorite in the series, but it was solid. It did enough to warrant more of them that's coming. Stay Tuned, which is walking the line against a horror movie, but I put it in the mix because I really enjoy watching that film. You get sucked into the TV as the devil tries to collect their souls. It's a good movie. Stay tuned. Evil Dead Rise, another good entry in that series. Rob Zombie's The Munsters, also recommended. Did not fare well with the critics. I really like The Munsters, and I like Rob Zombie, so it did it for me. Poltergeist, what can you say? Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, another amazing film that goes under most people's radars. Three from Hell, the closeout of the Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses trilogy, definitely the weakest of the bunch. But every time I watch it, it grows a little bit more on me. Certainly not as strong as the others, but it was worth a watch. Ghoulies, the Gremlins ripoff to end all Gremlins ripoff, even came out at the same time. And one of them actually, they tried to sue the other one to not come out, but they ran out of money in Ghoulies, which is pretty obvious if you watch the movie, and it had to get delayed, so Gremlins came out first because they were racing to see who would come out first. Ghoulies doesn't even touch Gremlins, but it is an amusing old 80s flick. Misery, probably the best Stephen King adaptation. 28 Weeks Later, the follow-up to 28 Days Later. 28 Years Later has come out now. I have not watched it, but it is on the list. I saved it for the list. We'll see when it pops up so I can see the next one in that series, which was filmed back-to-back with its sequel. So the end of that set of movies is actually back-to-back to The Bone Temple. Comes out in January to finish that one out. Final Destination Bloodlines, the newest Final Destination film, and the movie that keeps saying it's the Final Destination. And this one did again really well, so there'll be more. Those are awesome movies just because the death scenes are so wicked. Little Monsters, a personal favorite for my whole life. Used to rent it in VHS all the time. Bambi Reckoning, That was a interesting flick out of the new Twisted Children's universe, the Poohniverse, as they've called it, which started with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. So they're making a bunch of those, and they're going to do like an Avengers mashup, which should be pretty epic. It wasn't too bad. They definitely have a little bit more money than they did when they started, but they're getting better. Trick or Treat, 1986, the rock and roll epic starring that has cameos, not starring Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne as a reverend speaking out against rock music. It's a pretty good Halloween classic if you haven't seen it. Trick or Treat, 1986. You Should Have Left. One with it was back in 2020. It was a COVID flick that was going to go to theaters but went straight to video with Kevin Bacon. It's pretty solid. It's a pretty solid comeuppance film that it took me a couple of watches to realize it was a comeuppance film, but it is. It's pretty good flick. Tales from the Dark Side, another classic anthology film. The wraparound with the witch preparing the kid to eat as he tells the stories is pretty awesome. And last but not least, before I jumped into this, was Death Becomes Her, a 90s absolute gem of a film. And that is it for the movies we've watched in week number 2 here on Scary Awesome Stuff. We are going to do the scratch off now and see what we watch next as we continue to fly on to the next set of films. All right, where should we go here? Let's go right to the bottom and scratch off a skull. To the skull, I say. To the skull. They don't scratch off easily. And we are staying in the same era. We have Messiah of Evil, 1973. Again, not my favorite era, so I'm not super familiar with a lot of that era of horror flicks, but another new one. So we'll go get that one. It's a couple years older than the last one. Messiah of Evil is what is coming up next, thanks to our scratch off. All right, and that does it for our recap this week. As of this recording, we have 48 days left until Halloween, which is amazing sauce. So thanks for watching, you guys. We will do it all again soon. Stay tuned, though. I have a couple of surprises videos to post in the next few days to satiate your horror needs until we meet again for week number 3 recap coming up at you. So have a great one, you guys. We will see you on the flip side. Stay scary, everybody.